Hello, and welcome to the Fat Squirrel Speaks. Today is Tuesday, December 3rd, and this is episode 89. How are you? Oh my gosh, you see my cup? And then this side you can't really see the font, but we kind of can. It says nuts about you. Thanks, Melody. How are you? If you're a new viewer, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. I am your hostess, Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry, and the Fat Squirrel, that's SQRRL, on Instagram and Twitter. Did I already say this episode 89? I did, right? Yeah, I totally did. Sorry. I did not record last week. I feel like I have some weird, if I were a fellow, I would have one of those handlebar mustaches. I'm not sure what this is about. I have weird sideburn happening. Not handlebar mustaches. The pork chop. Those are called pork chop. No, there's not called pork chop. What are those called? The sideburns. Mutton chops. Whatever. So I apologize to not record last week. It was one of those weeks I had every intention of recording, and then I just kept not doing it. And surprisingly, when you don't sit down to record, nothing magically happens. Just like that I have no gnomes that do my dishes, I have no gnomes that record when I am busy. What's that about? My gnomes are failures. So I do apologize for that. But I'm back. I hope you had a lovely Thanksgiving. It was Thanksgiving this last week in the U.S. We had a great Thanksgiving. We went to my grandparents' house and had dinner with my mother and my aunt were there. And our families are from Cincinnati, my husband's and mine. So we always go to my family's for lunchish, and then we go to his family's for dessertish. I may eat dessert at both places. Who am I kidding? I'm not gonna lie to you. Well, at least I don't eat dinner and dessert at both places. Even if I did, you shouldn't judge. Hush. So that's what we do every year. And this year was very fun. Shenanigans! There will be so many shenanigans and so much knitting, and it's just insane this week. So just hold on, kids. Grab a cuppa. Lock it in. Or don't. But it's bound to be a bumpy ride. Okay? Okay. So we went to my grandparents. Oh, and so my daughter had been at grandparents' house, at my parents' house, her grandparents' house. There's epic confusion because I call my grandparents my mom and papa, but now she calls her grandparents my mom and papa, which is my mother and her husband. So and my grandparents are little grandma and little grandpa. It's very confusing. But anyway, so we went to my grandparents' house. She had been at her grandparents' house, my parents, and they had just a tiny bit of snow. We didn't have any snow here, and I apologize. I hate to admit it, but I feel like I might be getting sick. Don't tell anybody because I don't want to curse anything, but I might be getting sick. I have moved beyond the it's just allergies to the crud. My head is on fire. That thing. So I apologize. That's why the tea and the tissuing. So she was there. It snowed a little bit there. We didn't have any snow in Indianapolis, but in Cincinnati they had a little bit of snow, especially farther east where my parents live. So they had purchased for her just a little toboggan-y kind of plasticky sled, and it was lightweight enough. Our sled, we have an old red radio flyer with the metal rails. You have to have some significant snowfall, and we have one plastic Rubbermaid sled too, but it's quite heavy. But either way, you have to have significant snowfall to make those things happen. Well, this little sled was so light that it didn't matter that there was just a heavy dusting of snow. Really, I mean, you could still see grass in between snow bits. So she had a grand old time sledding down the hill at my parents' house. And then we went for Thanksgiving to my grandparents' house. And after dinner and stuff, excuse me, after dinner, we, my husband took her out into their front yard and she sled there. Which was awesome. Because by the way, when I was a kid, this is going to be a show full of me being angsty, but just for a minute, not for real. But when I was a kid, my grandparents only had the sled with the metal rails. So I can only remember sledding like 3 times in my entire youth, and that, I feel like, is an overestimation. This young whippersnapper gets to sled right off. Anyway, so she got to sled. It was very awesome. But then she got done, so she was taking her sled around to the back to put it back in the cars, and my grandfather stops her and is like, I think I could tie that to the tractor, which is the lawnmower. I call it a tractor because it's not really the lawnmower anymore. It's the old lawn. It's like a riding lawnmower. And it's the one he had when I was a little girl. Now he has like one of those 0 point things because he has like a 4-acre yard. It's ridiculous. I'll let that go back to nature. But whatever, it's just me. Just me. I don't want to diss it too much because, you know, in the event of the apocalypse, that's where I'm going. There's a lot of tillable earth there. That's the meetup point. So anyway. Okay. So he's like, I think I could. So he tied it up to the tractor, and then he proceeded to like loop her in paces around the backyard. I was so jealous. I mean, not in a bad way. Just like I'm jealous of the people who went to the knitting pipeline retreat in Maine way. Like, it's like, I'm so happy that's happening for you, but there is a dark spot in my heart that is filled with jealousy. But it's very small. The part that's happy is way bigger. It dwarfs that little tiny dark nugget. But much like the black hole, it's strong. Just saying. So she had so much fun. And we had so much fun, and it was lovely. Oh, and we got to take my little dog. We have like a little miniature schnauzer, miniature poodle mix. She's a schnoodle. I know, right? We have allergies. She's non-allergenic. Anyway, so we took her with us, and it's one of our favorite places to play with her because it's a huge big open yard, and I don't feel quite confident for her to be not on a lead at all because she's a very well-mannered. Oh, okay, she's just very well-mannered. She's relatively good, except when she's excited about people, about minding, but I'm always afraid there's gonna be like another dog or like a squirrel or a turkey, because they have turkeys in their yard sometimes. They live in the country. That's gonna distract her. So we actually have a really long training lead. It's like is it a 20-foot lead or 25-foot lead? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So the lead weighs like 4 pounds, and she only weighs like 20 pounds. So it's like 25% of her body weight. So we just clip that on her and we don't attach it to anything, but it's long enough that I feel like if she were to get crazy and run, I could catch her much more easily because she's got a 20-foot lead on. Plus, she's not as likely to make a break for it because that's actually like 25% of her body weight that she's hauling around. You know what I mean? So it's like having one of those jackets on them with weights. Whatever. But we got the chuck it thing, you know, that like big plastic ball throwy thing. It was awesome. Got the balls that whistle when you throw them. It was really cool because of course the kiddo can't throw a baseball or a tennis ball that far. With that thing, she loved that dude. It was awesome. So much fun. And then, as if that wasn't awesome enough, right? Then I got to go to the Yard in Fort Wayne at Simply Sock Yard. Well, not at Simply Sock Yard, but in conjunction there with. There are times in my podcasting career where I feel kind of bad that I am not more articulate, more centered. But that's really not my thing. You know that, right? You're not here for articulate and centered because there's lots of people who do it much better than myself. Okay. But there are times that I wish I were that person. Just, I'm not, just for a little bit, because there are instances in my knitting life, like when I go to retreats or like when I meet lovely people, that I wish I were a woman of better words than I am. This is one of those times. It was awesome. Completely lacking in hyperbole. It was awesome. the Yarn Heart was in Fort Wayne. She gave a talk on Saturday night, the Saturday night after American Thanksgiving, so December 30th. And then she did classes on Sunday and Monday, so on December 1st and December 2nd. I really wanted to take one of the classes that was offered on December 2nd on Monday, but it was in the morning, and I would not have had a way to put my child on bus. I talked about that last week. I just remembered. Sorry. But I did get to go to the talk, and so the talk was Saturday night. So I went to Simply Sock Yarn, and the owner of Simply Sock Yarn was the one who organized the event and set it all up. She did a lovely job. Oh my gosh, you people. If you're anywhere near Fort Wayne, even if you're not, she has an online shop, which is awesome. But if you were anywhere near Fort Wayne, you've got to go there. Now, she's not open every day of the week because she does primarily do an online business, but she is open through the end of the year, I think, or at least through Christmas. She's open Tuesdays, I believe it's Tuesdays, and Saturdays. If you can find any excuse to go wherever you're going via Fort Wayne, which is not terribly likely, let's face it. I'm from I live in Indianapolis. I had lived in Cincinnati for 25 years before I had ever gone to Indianapolis, even though they're only 2 hours apart, because I had no cause to go to Indianapolis. Not that Indianapolis is not a lovely city, but I had everything in the city I lived in. That's how I feel now. Like, I had no reason to go to Fort Wayne because I had everything in the city I lived in. Except now I know about Simply Sock Yarn. The Pandora's box has been opened. Oh my gosh. It is Danger City 5000. I'm not even kidding you. I have a few pictures and I'll put them at the end. Attempt to put them at the end again. But they in no way capture how great the store was, or how lovely and warm and welcoming the people were. Their staff is wonderful. And I will say, it is hard to say that there is a yarn store that is better than other yarn stores. Because as we all know, just like knitters or people that we admire, they're all so unique that it's hard to say. But I will say that that is the yarn store. Yeah. If like of the 10 yarn stores I have been to in my life, it's probably really been only like 10, maybe 15. Of the 15, we'll say 15 yarn stores I've ever been to in my life, if I had to pick one I could go to, it would be that one. Right? That's saying something. It is impressive. Now, she primarily has fingering weight. So, like, I was originally going to say it was the best yarn store I had ever been to. But because she is inherently a specific sub-store, I can't say technically best yarn store I've ever been to. But of all the yarn stores I've ever been to, I would go there first. So that's kind of the same thing, right? It's totally almost the same thing. It was awesome. I also spent more than I've ever spent in another yarn store in one fell swoop. Yeah, easily. It was literally every yarn that you thought one day you would like to try in one stinking building. I mean, not every yarn, but like things I never, like Tana's Fiber Arts was there, Skein was there, Miss Babs was there, the Malabrigo, of course, was there, the Monostel Uruguay, soccer amateur, Three Irish Girls, Socks That Rock. Of course, there was like a ton of Madeline Tosh, and she even had different weights, like she had some DKs and stuff. Sweet Georgia yarns, tons of Sweet Georgia. I mean, just Lorna's Laces, everything I could think of, like just off the top of my head, sock yarn wise. Plus, she had all of like opal, and like she had an insane amount of opal, like all the new opal. That's the sheepy kinds. I didn't even buy any. That's how much good sock yarn there was. Like when you pass up opal, like that's a yarn full. That's a store full of good yarn. You know what I mean? like all of the Little Prince colorways, all of the like the new rainforest, like, and I went to college near Webb's, like, again, I have not been to Webb's in like 10 years or longer, 15 years. Oh my gosh, it's been that long. Amazing. Amazing. And again, just lovely and kind and wonderful, and yet another gem for our little community. I'm always reminded, it makes me so excited that like it's our own little version of buying local. You know, you get to like actually meet the people who you're giving your dollars to. Now clearly you're also giving your dollars to other people down the road, like, you know what I mean? But like I'm giving her my dollars and she's like paying her mortgage and like buying her kids school supplies, which is so much cooler than giving your money to something you don't know about. Now that doesn't happen that much in the yarn community because it's all pretty small, but you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Right. Right. Koch brothers got none of that. None of it. You probably did. But anyway, so it was wonderful and awesome. And then on top of that, I got to have dinner with some of the Fort Wayners and some of the people who were visiting. And that was awesome. And we had fancy grilled cheese. Well, I had fancy grilled cheese with hard cider apples on it. Delicioso. And while I was at Simply Sock Yarn, Allison very kindly introduced me to the Yarn Harlot. And it was very funny because Miss Lovely Stephanie was like, I had just made my way back to the back of the yard to find a basket because I needed a basket. Anyway, so I just made my way back there, and then I talked to Allison briefly, and she was like telling these two ladies who I was, and I was like in my head thinking, oh, thank you so much, Allison. You're so kind, but these people do not care who I am. Just let them shop, you know. And then I looked over and I saw that one of them was Stephanie Perlmuffy. And immediately I no longer cared that these people have no interest in who I am. I was just very excited. Sorry. I was very excited, and I talked to her just very briefly, because she showed me a colorway of Three Irish Girls, and we looked at me and we shopped a bit. But she was very personable and kind, and just lovely, and was very happy to help enable people to buy stuff. Couldn't ask for more. So we had dinner, and that was lovely, and I got to meet so many of your beautiful faces at the yarn store and at dinner, and then at the venue where we got to listen to Stephanie. I feel like I shouldn't call her Stephanie because that means we're like buddies, but I think she likes to be called Stephanie. But Miss Yarn Harlot. Awesome. Hilarious. Thoughtful. Hilariously thoughtful. Thoughtfully hilarious. Oh, the permutations of thoughtful and hilarious. That was her. So much better than I had anticipated. Not that I had anticipated anything less than great, but even better than I could have hoped. It was amazing. It was wonderful. She was not only just a beautiful, like, wonderful, well-crafted storytelling. You know what I mean? Like, well-crafted storytelling. But also had just a wealth of knowledge that, you know, she didn't talk to any great length about any one topic because it was a general discussion. It was not a specific one. But just because she had such that great depth and breadth of knowledge that even though we were only on that surface, you felt the weight of what was behind it, I guess is what you would say, maybe. But it was wonderful. One thing I will talk about very briefly, because today is Give Back Tuesday. Have you heard of that? She talked, and I have been thinking about who we're going to donate this year for charities and things like that. Not that we can donate very much, but we can all find something somewhere. So we've been, discussing that and trying to figure out what we want to do. And then I had read about the Bill Gates, the Give Back Tuesday that they encourage. And one of the charities that they encourage is one of my favorite ones, which is heifer.org. which is so exciting because they totally do that for knitters. You can give a sheep. You can give a sheep. You donate a sheep to a family. It's only $120 to donate a whole sheep. A whole sheep. You can also buy part of a sheep, I believe, for $20. Like a share. What? A whole sheep for $120. It's like a sweater. What? Anyway. They have like a knitter's basket. Oh, you can knit like a whole bunch of fiber animals to a family. So exciting. But the reason this is all synchronicity ting up in my face is that one of the things she talked about was knitters and their capacity for giving. And we all know that knitters are very generous people. But she talked about perhaps why that is, and I think this is so interesting, and I'm going to totally share it. But it's her idea. I did not think of it. It's completely 100% her idea. But she talks about how knitters are a super give group. And what that means is, and this is all from her too, again, I didn't make any of this up. If you're given a sample of 100 people, just random people on the street, and you tell them about a group of people that are in need, then a certain, probably smallish percentage of those that can afford to give will give. I don't know. I have no idea what the technical numbers are, but it's not a huge percentage. However, if you take the same number of knitters, almost all of them will give, whether they can afford to or not. And this is why it's so clever. She's so clever. This is her hypothesis, which I think is very sound, is that as knitters, we are a group of folks that have a deep and complete understanding of cumulative action. Chew on it. Isn't that great? And what that means is that, like, if you take random 100 people on the street and you say, they'll think, oh, if I give $5, what's that going to do? It's not going to do anything. And you're right, $5 doesn't do anything. However, if you take a bunch of knitters and you say, then they all know that if, like, I give $5 and she gives $5 and he gives $5 and they give $5 and they give $2 and they give $12, and then cumulatively our actions build up into a beautiful garment of giving. Garment of giving was totally mine. I just made it up right now. But isn't that a cool thought? I love it. Our understanding of cumulative action. I love it. I love it. So anyway, that's 22 minutes of me talking. Oh my Lord. And I haven't even brought out the knitting. You're used to it, right? Anyway, I'm sure there's like 1,008 other things I would like to say, because there are. But I won't, because I would just recount to you verbatim what she said, and that would not be fair to her, because that's her material. But I feel like I could at least share that much, as long as I gave her due. Parenthetical documentation style. Okay, so now I have knitting and spinning to show you. Are you ready? There will also be a small shop update info at the end, so there will be shameless self-promotion. Are you ready? Okay. Oh my gosh, one thing I have to show you very quickly before I get too distracted, because you know I will in a hot second. Look at how funny these are. Now, she's sent stitch markers to several other folks. Do you see how funny these are? Caterpillar Designs. She's an Etsy shop. And she totally sent me stitch markers based on our Fat Squirrel logo. There's just one. Is that not hilarious? There's my little squirrel. Okay. And one of them says, yo! Where the logo said. So thanks to her. That was very generous. I also received some other generous gifts this week, and I will talk about them as I use them. But those people know that they're appreciated very much. Will I talk about all the yarn I bought at Simply Sock Yarn? Part of me feels like I should, because I should pimp out Allison's shop as much as is humanly possible, because it is awesome. Part of me is ashamed of I'm not really ashamed of my gluttony, let's face it. I wear it. But part of me is hesitant. But maybe I'll talk about it later, and then you could just not watch it if you don't want to. Maybe that's what we'll do. Okay, so In the meantime, I have finished spinning. I have this, which is a hot mess. This is my 80% Superwash BFL, 20% nylon fiber from Gale's Art in the Brave colorway. This is 6 ounces. And actually, I found out, somebody wrote me, and thank you for your face, to let me know that this was part of the Totally Arbitrary Sal. Totally Arbitrary and Twisted Sal. Is that what it is? Totally Arbitrary and Twisted. So she did this colorway and then also a Sherlock colorway, which is beautiful. It's like greens and teals and grays. It's gorgeous. But it was more my colors. So like I should bring on my box. But look how pretty it turned out. It's way thicker than a fingering weight. Of course, completely me and not Gail at all. It is definitely like sport to pushing DK. And I only got like 300 and something yards. Not like, I mean change, loose change out of my 6 ounces. So it's definitely not fingering weight. Okay. But I'm still totally pleased with it. I'm psyched. It's very pretty. And it was beautiful to spin. Gail does a gorgeous job. Just a gorgeous job. And her face is so pretty. I couldn't ask for more. So I am very excited about that. I also got some unwind sock fiber, which I'm excited to start. That will be the next thing on my wheel after I finish what I'm about to show you. Is that all I need to tell you? That's all I needed to tell you, right? It was gorgeous. Really wonderful to spin. So fun. And it's you can see it's a little kinky, and that was completely intentional. In fact, I'm surprised it's not kinkier than it really even is. Because I wanted it overplied to add to the durability. Yeah, it's totally not 100% even, as we talked about last week. It's still really pretty. I'm very pleased with it. Oh, that Gail makes good stuff. And I did a good job. That's another thing Stephanie talked about, was Pearl McPhee. She talked about how we need to own the things that we do well and not just dismiss them. And yeah, I still feel like I need to make a disclaimer that says, not that this is perfect. See, it's just inherent. So that is awesome and very exciting. And then spinning works in progress. I didn't bring my other bobbin over. But for some reason, I had this intense, I mean literally, intense need. I was going through my fiber stash. I call it shelving. I was putting away things I had purchased. I was shelving in the fiber section of my area. And I was struck by an intense need, which I'm not sure I even still understand, to spin. This is, and you know what? This is Falkland, right? I have it right here. No, it's Polworth. That's right. It is Polworth from Highland Handmaids. Of course, Heather Highland of Highland Handmaids. And this is her Pitch Pine Top, which is a Polworth. So I really just talked to you about 5 different projects, and you weren't here. I accidentally turned off the camera. Move the cursor over there, shall I? So this is from Heather of Highland Handmaids. I believe I already said that. I may repeat myself. Chill out. I am repeating myself. This is her Polworth in Sand Shark. This is Pitch Pine Top. And I don't even know if I said this, but maybe I did. I don't know. I was shelving my fiber, and I was possessed. There's no other word for it. I was possessed by the need to spin this with 2 plies of Cormo, natural roving. It looks like this. There's no other way to say it except that I was possessed. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I know, right? We're such nerds. But I know you understand. While you may not understand what I'm doing, you know the feeling. So I couldn't get out of my head. So I spun about 4 ounces-ish of this one. This would not fit on the bobbin. And then I'm spinning this now. I have about an ounce-ish spun. Maybe not. And then I'm going to spin another bobbin of the Cormo and then do a 3-ply. And I have no idea how it's going to turn out because, of course, the Cormo, they're both roving and this is top. So the like fuzziness of the somewhat more woolen spinning technique I'm using. I mean, really, technically, I'm using the same technique for both of these things, but obviously they're very different preparations. So I'm slightly concerned that the floofy wooleniness of this will overshadow the slickeriness of this, since there's only 1 ply of this and 2 of these. Indiana Jones it up, people. You don't know what's going to happen. Just got to do it. Just got to try. See what happens. And then I'm going to make a fat cow. It's going to be so fat. I'm so excited. It's going to be very bulky and wonderful. And all this up on my face. Oh, so excited. I love wool with like a purity that knows no match. People will say, if you love so wool, wool so much, why don't you marry it? I would. It's amazing. Anyway, so I'm excited. Let's see how that turns out. I don't know. Maybe I'll make a mistake for you. Who knows? Am I worried? No, a little bit. Not too much, though. Not like I'm worried about other stuff. Okay, so that's all the spinning. Let's talk about knitting finished objects. I don't think I had these done last time, but it's been 2 weeks, so I get kind of confused. I finished my plain old vanilla slip stitch heel, cuff down, backwards loop cast on. Is that what we're calling that? I think that's what that's called, where you just do with your thumb and just like loop it around there. I love that cast on if you're doing cuff down socks and you have large legs. But even if you don't, look at that. Bam, bam. That goes over your arch, no problem. I'm doing the greatest job weaving that in. I will. And this is with Peyton's Croy socks in the, I think it's the blue brown rag. I think it'll be in the show notes, probably. So I'm very pleased with those. They turned out very well. What else do I need to talk about? Oh, I thought maybe since they were heavier yarn, I might not need to do the full 72 stitches. They are for a fellow. But I started the cuff and I realized that it was kind of maybe pushing it. So the cuff is only 68 stitches, but then the foot itself is 72. And all I did was, I just didn't decrease as much for the gusset. So that's a little cheatery way, if you realize that maybe they're going to be a little snug on the foot. Not as big of a deal if they're slightly... What? I totally have a drop stitch in here. I just saw it. Big deal. But, oh my gosh. How did I not notice that? It's like way down there. Right. Yeah, what else? So there's those. And then, oh, I have some more seamless Salomas. These are, of course, the pattern by Megan Williams of the Stockinette Zombies and Rista1313 of Girl Cave Bags. And these are, I'm knitting all of these for holiday presents. This is, and they are all made from Barocco Vintage Chunky. The pattern is written for worsted. I'm doing mine in chunky. Essentially, I'm just going one size down from what they would be. And I am really enjoying this yarn quite a bit. I had knit a sweater for my daughter when she was 3, so that's like almost 4 years ago, out of Barocco Vintage, just the worsted weight, I believe. And I had done it out of, one of the colors was like a charcoal, not a dark, like a heather gray. And it pilled miserably. Miserably. But the blue color in it didn't. And so I was a little nervous about these, but I washed the pair that I made, like I did a test pair for myself, and I washed them and they held up beautifully. So yay that. Hopefully these will all do well. So I don't know if there's just, maybe it was just because that was so long ago, or maybe there is like a difference between colors. I don't know. I think there might be a difference between colors. So I'm just hoping all these colors are okay. So yay those! I have one more pair, which I'm not going to show you, but I have started. And then after that, I'll only have 2 more pairs left to do. So that probably should make a pair for my kid. Anyway, so there's that. There's that. Then I have another FO, which you've not even seen as a whip. Because I had a moment. I'll show you this. This inspired the moment. I got this bag this week, or last week, from the Knotted Bag. I did a special order. We did a little tradesies. Because I really love this fabric in an insane way. Right? Is that not awesome? And it was so autumnally awesome that I felt like I must cast on a pair of Thanksgiving socks immediately. So I had some Desert Vista Dye Works in her grade school turkey colorway. And I thought, it's like the Monday before Thanksgiving or maybe the Tuesday, I'm not even sure. But I'll just cast them on, and I know I'm not going to get finished with them, but I'll have them on the needles when I go to Stephanie Purple Bean. I'll have them at home. I'll have them at my group when I'm having Thanksgiving. That'll be my knitting project there. So even though I won't get them done for Thanksgiving, they'll still be very Thanksgiving-y. And I did not get them done for Thanksgiving, but I got them done. I think I got them done on Sunday. That's insane for me. I wear a size 11 shoe. I have big feet, 72 stitches. I was so excited. I totally got them done. What? For me, that's very fast for socks. But part of my new epiphany about socks is that they get knit much faster if you actually knit on them. Who would have thought, right? Pearls of wisdom. So these are just a plain afterthought heel sock, Laura Linneman's technique. Toe up. Surprisingly stretchy bind off. Did I say that they're from Desert Vista Dye Works? I did. Grade school turkey. Vizio base. So yeah, they're totally done. I was so excited. I was so excited. So yay that. And do they look so cute when they be so? You would totally knit on them, right? They look so cute in there. Speaking of the Knotted Bag, I'm going to speak of her 3 times evidently today, but I'll show you this too because it's right here. I've got my finished objects. I have to open it up. I can show you the way. What? So this is like her sock size, which is perfect for a pair of socks. And this is the shawl size, I believe. So, and look at the inside. It's Siligo mushrooms. How fun. So yay her. Okay, so those are all the finished objects. Sorry I'm more confused than normal, but again, I've already done this all, so it's a little confusing. Extra sauce. Okay, so the next thing I'll show you are another pair of socks I have in progress. These are the Collie Wobbles. Darn it. I know it. Collie Wobbles. Okay, I said it right. By Emily Estrada, who is of the Fiber Town podcast, and they were very generously donated to me by her. So let's see if you can. What is the trick that I have to do? I have to turn this brightness down, right? So it doesn't blind you. Because now you're getting a very exciting glow on my face, which is super awesome for you. I know you're jealous of my beautifulness. Let's see if this works better. So these are the Collie Wobbles. Again, they're gifted by the designer. It's a little bit better than usual. Maybe not worth the effort. The Fiber Town podcast. Yes. Okay. And I'm knitting these with Socks That Rock in the superwash BFL fingering. So no nylon, but 100% superwash BFL. I believe it's a 3-ply. And this is the Holiday Hen colorway. Are you ready? I had this much when I showed you last week. Look how pretty they are. Right. Blue Moon knows what they're doing, right? Actually, I guess it's not Socks That Rock because that's a specific bit. It's Blue Moon Fiber Arts, 100% BFL. Okay, so like when I got this, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I was a little bit disappointed because I was a little bit freaked out about how hot that pink was and how brown that maroon was. I Sometimes people are geniuses. I don't know why I doubted them. I was also afraid it would pool horrendously. Now this part, of course, is the fanciness. But you can see it wouldn't have. It's beautiful. And it has my new favorite color in it, which I'm not going to tell you about, but I am now in love. Well, it's this color that's kind of right here. I am kind of secretly, not at all secretly. See this like taupey grayish color in here? I am now in love with that color so ridiculously much. And I can't wear it anywhere near my face. There was a skein of yarn, 3 Irish Girls yarn, that was like beautiful gray brown marriage. It was so beautiful, but they didn't have it in like a regular superwash nylon base. It was only in an MCN or 100% superwash. I know I can't wear either of those things on my feet because they will just disintegrate. And I can't wear that color next to my face. So that's the only reason I didn't buy it, because it was so gorgeous. But isn't this beautiful? So I'm not making like the super speediest. Oh, these are cuffed down. Sorry. I'm not the speediest knitter in the world, but it's totally pretty. And I am just doing my normal. I am doing mine slightly bigger than the pattern because, again, I have a giant wide foot. But I am doing actually my normal stitch count. Actually, I think I'm doing 71 instead of 72 stitches. I just added more of the little pattern repeat to the front of the sock. And I'm just doing the instep, the sole, the back of the sock in a more, it's like not the exact number of stitches on the front and the back of the sock, which will cause a little bit of confusion when I do toe decreases, but I'll figure it out. It's worth it. It's worth it. And this is my bag from Ploverbird. Shush. It's true. And guess what? She totally sent one for you too. I bought this one and she said she won. So we'll give that as a prize. I'm thinking maybe for 2,000 members. What do you think? Maybe. 2,000 members. We're almost there. At last check, we had 1,800 something. And maybe even in the high 1,800s, I think. Join the group. Ravelry. Okay. Sorry, I keep holding that, but it's so pretty. I'm so excited. And then, how many? Oh, let's see. 40, 28 plus 13 is 40. Oh, that's a lot of minutes. Okay, just very briefly, I will tell you that I am still working on my husband's sweater. And it is made with beaver slide dry goods in the fisherman weight. And I have the body done, and here's a sleeve of ridiculous longness. Now this sleeve looks very skinny. I don't starve my husband. He's not locked in a box underneath my bed. But it is 4x4 rib, so it's like actually this big. I kept trying it on him. I think he was getting a bit annoyed. But I was just like, it just looks wrong. But it totally fit well, and I think, again, once it's the gauge swatch, like, just completely laid flat. It didn't have very much elasticity at all, which is pretty much what I expect from a 4x4 rib in a tighter gauge. But I'm still nervous about it. So I am just using the Ann Budd Book of Handy Patterns, and I'm knitting these on US size 7s. That's all I have to tell you. Is it that I love beaver slide? I also knit a hat for my husband out of this, but I don't have it with me. He has it on his head. It's very cute though. But yay, and that is all the knitting. Right. Okay, I'll do shameless self-promotion very quickly. And then I will do what I bought. This is very pretty. Okay, so there will be an update in the shop December 6th, which is a Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I will do that update, and I plan on doing a very small update, maybe the next Friday, and then that will be it until January. And then January will be the Charlie Harper bags. If you saw the picture on Instagram, I got a bunch of Charlie Harper fabric. So I can do this in January. I'm so excited about them. So this Friday, December 6th at 9 p.m., I will have, did the pre-order for the Aran size bags. So I'm going to have the smaller bags in the same fabric. So I apologize, I don't have handles done, but this is the large wedge. So there's this fabric. And I'll have a sweater size in the same. And then I will also have the gray. I will have sweater size. This has a handle. If you've never seen my handles before, they look like that. I try not to give you my own hair with them. And then I'll have these in large wedge too. I just don't have one to show you, so I apologize for that. The dimensions will be on the website and whatnot, but in true Stocking Lovey's fashion, you could sail a ship with this on your head, and I believe that you will be completely accepted in the sailing community. So there's that. Yay! Okay, so then I bought a bunch of stuff. Okay, now I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff, and you can judge me. That's fine. But just know that I showed an amazing amount of self-restraint, even though I bought a ridiculous amount of stuff, because if there had been infinite dollars in my pocket, which I know doesn't happen for any of us, but if there had been, I would have bought one of everything. Not one of everything, but I wanted to buy one of all of the different things I had never tried, and there were so many things I had never tried before. And I still didn't get only things I hadn't tried, which is really probably what I should have restricted myself to, but it's too awesome. I couldn't help it. Okay, so the first thing I purchased, these are less exciting, but I'll show you them anyway. I bought some worsted weight sock yarn, which I wanted to try, and it was only $7.50 because it's on sale. So I'm excited to try that out because I want some warmer house socks for myself. And of course, when I got home, I was like, I should have bought those to make. And then I was like, settle down. Settle down. So I'm excited about those. These are Super Sock. 8-ply, 100 grams, 210 meters, 75% wool, 25% polyamide. And I'm trying to figure out what the brand is. And I am failing miserably. But they are made in Italy. They're that. If you want some, she still has some in the shop. $7.50. Online, too. And like all of the different colors. Like all those colors, she's got them. It's crazy up in there. Okay, so then this is the other color predictable thing about. There was Miss Babs, and I know I have Miss Babs. I know I also have this colorway of Miss Babs. But I have deep sea jellyfish in a sport weight. And it's this deep sea jellyfish in a fingering weight that's appropriate for socks. Clearly, it was justified to buy. Don't care. And it's so fun because my deep sea jellyfish is way more of a light gray. Like it's much less saturated than this one. So I'm so excited. Okay, so I got some 3 Irish girls. I didn't show you the socks I'm making for my mama. I'll have to show you this next week. I totally just spaced out on that, sorry. But they are made of 3 Irish girls, which was gifted to me at the Knitting Pipeline Retreat this year. And I'll show you next week. I'm going to stop talking about it. But this is 3 Irish girls in the Adorn sock, which is 80% merino, 20% nylon. And this is the Fresh Earth colorway. So those are the 2 that I actually have used. Now, the rest of it's stuff I've never even used. Okay. So I've been wanting this since it came out. This is the Manos del Uruguay, the Alegria base. And this is the Pindo, Pindo colorway. It's 75% superwash merino, 25% polyamide. You know, we always struggle with that. 445 yards. I don't know why, but yellow lately has been like calling out to me. It is so, I can't believe that it's 25% nylon. It is like butter. It feels 100% superwash. Like if I had to put money down, I would say this is 100% superwash. It is so unbelievably soft. And I believe it's a 3-ply. Let's check, shall we? Yes, it is. So I'm very excited about that. And I do really plan on these that I'm showing you all being socks. Because I'm in love with socks lately. This is Fleece Artist, which I've also never tried, in their Trail Socks base, which is 80% wool, 20% nylon, machine washable, hand dyed in Canada. One of a kind. This is the Nightshade colorway. Can you see? Can you see? It's so pretty. Oh, so pretty. Okay, then we'll get into the multiples. So those are all for socks. Then I got these. These are Madeline Tosh. Which base are these? In Tosh sock, which I've never used, which is 100% superwash merino. This one is Badlands. And this one is Fog. Don't you think they look beautiful together? And I want to do like one of those cowls that does the stripes that switch places with each other. It's so squishy and soft. It's so pretty. It was just like a wall. Oh, it's a wall of it. And again, there was so much stuff that I did not buy. There's a whole wall of like cute little gradient mini skeins. I didn't know about so much. Then I saw this. This is Yarn Hollow, and everybody says that the woman who owns Yarn Hollow is awesome, so that just encourages you to buy stuff. This is her Biddy base, which is 100% superwash merino. Well, I saw this and was in love. I love it. It is like this beautiful, like tarnished kind of grassy copper color. I can't explain it. It's gorgeous. It can't be, it's like, I don't know, am I green? Am I copper? Tarnishy copper? Am I gold? Am I like earth in heaven? I can't decide what I am. She called me bronze. Nowhere near as awesome as color. So I love this so much, but it's 100% superwash merino, and as I've discussed, I can't put that on my feet. It's just going to get torn up. And I mean, even when I tighten it to a tighter gauge, it's still going to get torn up. So, if I had been thinking clearly, if I had not been so high on the yarn fumes, I might have thought, hey, I'll just buy this one skein. I'll use it held double. I'll make a hat like Megan's new hat, which I totally want to make. I bought that the other day. Oh, what's it called? I totally want to make that. And if I'd been thinking clearly, I would have thought that. But I was not thinking clearly. So to justify the purchase of one that I couldn't make socks out of, I had to buy two more. These are both also the Yarn Hollow, same base. This one is Garnet. And the blue one does not have a tag on it anymore. So I have no idea what color it is. But it's the same thing. And these are going to be, I think, a Barndom. Stephen West pattern. I think so. This, and it looks very black here. It's actually a very dark navy. That's all. That's all. That's all. That's all. Just like 11 skeins. I gotta knit faster. I gotta knit faster. So anyway, I hope you all had a lovely week. And I think that's all I had to tell you until right now. I mean, I have so many other things I want to tell you, but really, this is getting ridiculously long. So I will wait, and maybe I'll tell you some of those things next week.